In order to fix something, one's hands must get dirty. Jim Benedict's hands look like a mechanic, dusty and rough, always working, tinkering, fixing. But like any good mechanic, the hands only do what the eyes and mind are skilled at seeing.
He's kind of like our little guru.
How he dissects, where a guy's at, how he got there, maybe some underlying reasons for that, is unlike just about anybody I've been around in this game.
Major league guys offer major league credit to Benedict.
Do I owe some measure? I owe a ton of success.
Benedict and the entire Pirates pitching hierarchy follow a process that turns around careers.
Jim Benedict found my flaws and figured it all out.
Try to break it down to get to the right answer, not just winging it.
Next on Inside Pirates Baseball, Hidden Mechanic.
It seems simple enough. Throw this ball into that glove. Yet, hundreds of things can go wrong along the way, complicating the process. If any of those things gets repeated into a habit, the pitcher loses effectiveness. He needs to be fixed. A pitching mechanic is in demand. Enter Jim Benedict.
He's kind of like our little guru.
Honestly, he's the guru around these parts. So I mean, there's countless guys he's worked with.
He sees small things that have drastic impacts.
Seems like he's got his eyes on something. His mind's going 100 miles an hour.
How he dissects, where a guy's at, how he got there, maybe some underlying reasons for that, is unlike just about anybody I've been around in this game.
I probably talked for a couple hours about Benny.
There are pitchers who are indebted to him.
Do I owe some measure? I owe a ton of success.
Benedict is the rarest of finds, a man who can make like new what was once broken. He specializes in fixing pitchers, finding flaws, and repairing them.
Is it a talent? Oh, absolutely, it's a talent.
I think it's a talent. It's something that not only was he born with the ability to really, analyze physical mechanics, if you will, he's also learned a lot over his years of experience.
Yeah, because when you think talent, you think given at birth. It is. It's inherent. It exists, right? So there is that. There's obviously that.
While Benedict has talent and success as a pitcher mechanic, he doesn't operate in a vacuum. Pirates pitching is a multi-headed monster comprised of Ray Searage, a gifted pitching coach at the major league level, Euclides Rojas, the major league bullpen coach, Scott Mitchell, the minor league pitching coordinator, and Benedict.
Ray at the major league level, Scott Mitchell at the minor league level are both very talented guys. Euclides Rojas in the bullpen are very talented guys that have done really good work with guys, and I think that Jim becomes kind of that extra missing ingredient or whatever else that a lot of organizations may not have, where it's a different perspective. It's somebody that's not necessarily in the trenches with the guys every day. It's a unique, creative look at some different things, and a talented instructor as well.
I mean, there's the three of us. We got a three-headed monster, and Yuki has a very keen sight for things too, as does Benny. And they only say you're as good as the people you surround yourself with. And those guys, I'm the spearhead, but those guys are rock solid.
Benedict holds a hybrid position of scout, coach, mechanic that less than 1/3 of all major league teams likely employ. He covers minor league pitchers, major league pitchers, and scouting of pitchers not in the Pirate system.
What is unique is our creativity to figure out how do we leverage his skill set, because I think a lot of times it's easy to put a guy in a specific role and say go do that role, where we've looked at Jim and said, let's leverage his strengths and try to make sure that we take advantage of those.
As an organization, the Pirates have become known as a team that can fix pitchers. The list is both lengthy and impressive. Kevin Correa, Francisco Liriano, Edinson Volquez, Mark Melancon, Charlie Morton, and Vance Worley.
With our reputation as to helping people out, pitchers out, it's really nice. It really is nice.
I do think that we've done a good job with pitchers. I think there's some specific individual cases that people have talked about.
I think that's why you see guys coming back off down years or hurt. They're coming in because word around the league is that these guys know what they're doing and they can help you.
Clayton Richards signed with Pittsburgh in 2015. knowing he could benefit from the move.
I've played with a couple guys in San Diego that had come here afterwards with Kevin Correa and Edison Volquez, and seeing how they worked out and what they were able to do, it definitely played a factor in my decision.
I know they're going to help me, and I'm going to get back on track. I want to get better. I want to go to Pittsburgh. I want to be able to do different things that I wasn't able to do before in my career. So that one of the options is, you know, when they're free agents or whatever, let's see what Pittsburgh has got.
The Pirates have invested themselves in finding players who can be fixed. Not every major league team toils towards that end the way they do. There was a time nobody did.
I come from a world that when I played, which was, you know, in the early 80s, mid 80s, you just played. And then if you weren't good enough, we got rid of you, got somebody new.
For the Pirates, the fact remains. It's far more affordable to fix pitchers with talent than to outright pay for ones with no issues at all.
Identification of a guy that needs to be fixed or that it could be, that's not just me. That's a lot of, from the scouts, says this, you know, this guy's flawed in a certain way. This guy I used to see this guy before. He did this, this, and this. We have to be right. We have to make them come up to some kind of expectation.
So part of Benedict's charge is to make sure the Pirates are right with pitching more often than not, especially when it comes to a guy taken first overall in the draft.
I was very lucky to be picked by this organization and to be able to get in at a good time, a time that, you know, is breeding success, and we've turned things around, and it has a lot to do with the people behind the scenes like Jim and the rest of the guys, Scott Mitchell, and the pitching coaches that I have through the ranks in the minor leagues up to Ray.
That's where Benedict slides into his multifaceted role, tackling special projects and researching player backgrounds that other pitching coaches don't have time to delve into.
This hybrid role, and I think that role depends on what's going on. You know, last year with Garrett going through the rehab, he spent a lot of time with Garrett. So, you know, whether it be the advanced side, whether it be specific pitchers, whether it be specific projects, whether it just be a resource for some of our other, you know, pitching staff, again, Ray or Scott Mitchell in the minor leagues. You know, I think it depends on what is in front of us is kind of how we try to use Jim.
There's so many questions at times that I need to ask, and I go right to him, and he gives me a kind of direction in certain areas, but you know, we complement each other. There's a lot of information that is transferred from him to me and me to him, and things we need to look at, and you know, we bounce a lot of things off each other.
Benedict's position complicates the usual baseball hierarchy structure, but for the Pirates, it streamlines complex or fractured scenarios.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Jim Benedict's unique background and skill set tailor him for a special hybrid position.
I come from a scouting background as well as coaching, so the evaluation part fit this.
When Inside Pirates Baseball, Hidden Mechanic returns.
The Pirates' hidden mechanic, Jim Benedict, did not start in baseball as a pitcher.
I was an outfielder in high school, and I walked on at a junior college, was cut twice, had nothing but adversity. They dropped my arm slot, and all of a sudden I'm drafted and go to Arizona State, I signed with Kansas City, played 3 or 4 years in the minor leagues. Couldn't wait to coach, and that was my mentor was a coach. I wanted to coach. My mentors weren't players. I really like that side of it. I like to socialize that side of it. I like to break it down. That was always a driver for me.
Benedict played at LA Valley Junior College and 1 year at Arizona State. His minor league career was cut short in AA by a back injury. Along the way, he earned a master's degree in history, but coaching would be his calling.
Dave Snow was my mentor. He was such an impactful force in my life. And it was all about the team to unbelievable degree.
Now an advisor with the San Diego Padres, Snow coached with great success at Long Beach State, and prior to that at Loyola Marymount, where Benedict's coaching career ignited. Benedict scouted for the Rangers, Expos, Dodgers, Yankees, and Indians before joining the Pirates in 2008.
I come from a scouting background as well as coaching, so the evaluation part fit this.
Through that time, Benedict fastened himself to ideas and theories on pitching that he wrote down in a manual, developing a collaborative process the Pirates now call Paint the Picture. It starts with exhaustive video research, moves to interviewing the pitcher on his professional and personal history, then wraps up with formulating a plan of attack.
Paint the picture and how we got here. And it goes deep into, knowing where he's from. Is he a Latin pitcher from Ohio or Florida, or was he exposed to a college guy versus high school? All these things factor into learning skills, athleticism, breaking it down all from head to toe on kind of how we got here. And that's conversations, and that's a lot of video work. I'll have them pull footage from as far back as they can possibly go to see what they used to do, say before they were coached up a lot. Mandatory now. It's part of our system, our programs, is paint the picture, and put everybody together, and everybody that knows him, what do you got on this, what's he been through, and then we'll pop it on the video and see if it matches up, and see where can we fix it.
When the process is applied to incoming free agents, the detail involved dips into minute mechanical movements.
You rolled your foot over with the Phillies, and you went over to with the Twins, and you're landing heel. Then you went over to the Dodgers, and you going across your body, so you got a lot of lower half stuff. I think we need to get back to where you were in high school before you learned all this good stuff. And a lot of times that'll be a naturalized throw or an instinctual throw versus trained, and it can be a new lease on life when you get players from another place.
Benedict swears by his process because he tailors it to each individual and their background.
I don't think this process is isolated to pitching. I think it would work in a lot of other areas. I use it in other areas, whether it's buying a home or buying a stock or buying whatever you're doing, buying a car. This process was worked there to a degree. Try to break it down to get to the right answer, not just winging it.
The research process Benedict employs, combined with his scouting and coaching history, makes him an ideal target for a hybrid position.
I think my upbringing's different. I think going back to the scouting, I've specialized in this area. And then when they get away from me, the only reason I'd come back in is because they've really gotten away from it.
When IPB Hidden Mechanic comes back, the Pirates help turn around careers.
Jim Benedict found my flaws and figured it all out.
What I've done in my career goes back to him just because he's helped me so much through the video.
Next.
A Jim Benedict strength is not initiating complete delivery overhaul.
He's able to see little things that a lot of guys don't.
He sees small things that have drastic impacts, little things that are easy to fix or that we might not notice because we've done it a certain way for so long.
What works for a lot of guys dealing with him is he keeps it simple. There's nothing, he's not going to go out there and just change your full mechanics or anything. He's just give you a couple pointers here and there, and then, guys seem to roll with it.
A lot of things are very minute. They're little things, but at the end, they create the difference. Because at this stage of the game, when you're at this level, it's those little things that separate guys from one another.
First coming in, I don't even know if anyone could help me. I didn't even know where my legs were when I was throwing. But he came in, he's worked with me every year. It's a lot of stuff isn't like huge changes. It's just stuff like just nail these little things and do this, and he always kind of kept me accountable.
It's funny how a little injury can take you out of your game and not even realize, how small that flaw is.
The Pirates don't just treat the symptoms, they treat the disease. Problems for pitchers can generate above the shoulders.
It's a mind and body thing. It's not just the body. If it was just a physical thing, it'd be easy. But you got to add the brain and how that has functioned. The expectations were met, they weren't met. This guy, how he feels about himself now versus a guy that's ultra confident to the point where you can't talk to him. So there's a lot of psychology.
Before I got traded, you know, he was I think one of the big parts in recollecting me to where, you know, I need to be as far as mentality-wise. You think he's more of a mentality type guy, set you in the right state of mind.
A roll call of pitchers Benedict has fixed or helped boost their careers reads like a who's who of the recent big league roster.
Jared Hughes was a big one, Tony Watson. These guys were starters in the minor leagues that, you know, we made some adjustments to their slot, to their deliveries. Their confidence grew.
Kind of lowered my arm angle, pulled up some video from high school actually. I don't know where they get these videos from, but they have videos from all over, and pulled up some video from high school. We compared where I was at then in 2009 and where I was at in high school, and I got my arm angle back to there, and my career kind of took off after that.
Jim actually, he was the one that made me stop throwing my curveball because I threw it from a completely different arm angle and said, hey, what are you doing? You're changing everything up to throw that pitch, and that's why guys are hitting it, and at the upper levels it's only going to get worse. So that was a huge step in my career, just focusing on the slider.
A lot of what I've done in my career goes back to him just because he's helped me so much through the video.
Benedict was tasked with developing Garrett Cole early in his minor league career, guiding his talents towards a front-of-the-rotation type pitcher.
Garrett Cole's another one, and you take a guy first pick in the country. They're not really known as guys that need to be worked with, but this was one of those. Not all results-oriented, process-oriented, not an easy thing to do. When a guy comes from where he comes from, you know, UCLA, all the USA teams, first pick. I mean, there's a lot of clutter there that if you don't fight through it, he's just going to go throw.
The most famous effort from Benedict's work might be what he did to rectify the path of Charlie Morton, who staggered through a 2-12 record and a 7.57 ERA in 2010.
I personally don't believe that my career was over after 2010. It may have looked like that. I still had really good stuff. I still wanted to be out there. It wasn't like I'd given up. But when I came into spring training in 2011, he had something for me that was I'm not gonna say a quick fix, but it was a simple fix, and it was the most natural that I ever felt that I had thrown the baseball in my life. Which is crazy, because at the time, I don't know, I was 27 years old. You know, been throwing a ball since I could walk probably. And finally.
A striking example of Benedict's effectiveness is with a pitcher who he'd been painting the picture on for years. The tricky part about Vance Worley, however, was, well, everything.
Being a shorter guy and more stocky, I don't have that arm action, so I have to come more over the top, but still, like the guys that have their body have longer strides. I have a shorter stride. Just everything about me is different.
Through a friendship with Long Beach State pitching coach Troy Buckley, Benedict had already studied Worley.
When he couldn't figure out what I was doing to get me to work with those mechanics, he then called Jim Benedict and saw some film, and Benny gave some of his ideas back to Buckley and got me through 3 years there to get drafted.
Just hit some notes on what I'm seeing, what blows off the screen, and I'd send it back. Well, one of those guys was Worley.
The guy can watch film, he can watch the way you play catch. You know, he can just sitting at different angles, he'll start picking things up that you do, your habits.
His best foundation was laid at Long Beach State, so if you were going to fix him, it wasn't going to be through the pro film, it was going to be through the college film. So I was familiar with that.
And he says, well, I can tell you that you had a longer stride here, you know, your front side's starting to fly here, and now you're not pulling over the ball here. So what can we do?
The mentality was rehab, and that was passive, because you don't want to get hurt again. You're easing into everything, and that's the last thing he is. So when we got him in extended spring, I mean, it wasn't fluid. I mean, it didn't happen just like that. It took 30 days.
Jim Benedict found my flaws and figured it all out.
boom, he took off once he got there.
Helping others succeed is an admirable goal.
The payback is watching success. That's the payback. And if it was ever more than that, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Next on IPB, Hidden Mechanic.
Jim Benedict spends more time watching video than an airport security scanner.
It's either watching video or looking at some piece of information all the time. And if he's not looking at that, then he's thinking about it.
There's verbal with the video, and that combination is effective. So a lot of watching.
The time spent poring over video frees up Ray Searage, Euclides Rojas, and Scott Mitchell to focus on their main tasks rather than getting bogged down with special projects.
He's got time to really go deeper into the video than I have. I look at video, but I have so many other videos that I'm looking at that if we have to specialize a picture, you know, he's able to get more time into that and be able to pick up things that I might have missed.
Near the rubber, Benedict pens colorful phrases to spur on his pupils.
We have some catchy phrases for that I can't use right here, but
he's got some phrases, some of which I can't exactly say.
He's also got like I said, a great sense of humor that I don't know if it's appropriate for camera, but yeah, it's definitely, he hits you with some things.
He's very blunt, but it's a good thing because you don't want someone that's going to beat around the bush.
Benedict deals in harsh, even brutal truth.
now the truth is not told often because nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings, even if it's for the good down the road.
So he's not afraid to confront you in a way to, keep you accountable and keep you right on that path.
I just believe in direct truth, and then you do what you want with that information. More times than not, it's either going to work right away or it's going to circle back and work later. And during that circle time, there's going to be some feelings that can be hurt. And that's okay, because it's about making major leaguers.
Jim's really smart. He can go intellectual with guys if he needs to go intellectual. He can dumb it down. He can, his approach is going to change based on what that player needs. But ultimately, he's going to hit that player with, hey, this is what I think, this is the problem, this is what I think you need to do, this is how we go about doing it, are you in?
The Bible says the truth shall set you free. That thought extends to pitchers who want to help themselves.
If you can accept the fact that you always can get better, if you can accept that you're not exactly what you can be, Benny can help you.
You could go down the list of guys, and he's had a hand in that, pretty much everybody that's come through here.
I've seen him help a lot of people, though. He's got a good way of relating to people, especially younger guys. He's got a good sense of humor and a good people's person, but he also has an idea about pitching, and I think when you mix those two together, it's easy to talk to guys. Instead of having somebody that's hard on you or just a little tougher, I think the way Benny comes across is perfect for what he does.
Benedict's approach is often laced with psychology, like last year when he challenged Vance Worley.
He says, what do you bring to the party? And I'm looking at him, I'm like, we're on a baseball field right now, man. What are you talking about? He's like, what do you bring to the party? And I keep looking at him just with a blank stare, like, I really don't know what you're asking me right now. I'm trying to think about pitching. He's like, that's what I'm asking. What do you bring when you're in there pitching? And I said, I don't care who's in the box. He's like, prove it, show me. It was actually better once I put that little thought in the back of my head of, who cares who's up there? I was throwing harder, I had better angle on the ball.
Educated by his mentor, Dave Snow, Benedict pursues his craft, offering selfless acts of guidance.
Given, watching guys get wealthy, watching guys go to the playoffs, guys, the Vance Worleys of the world that are out, that not sure what they're going to do in their life. you know, hey, come over here, we got a process, it looks like this one would fit you. And you know, that's what I get out of it, is watching their success. The payback is watching success. That's the payback. And if it was ever more than that, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Pirates pitchers are grateful to reap the Benedict benefits.
He's got a lot of guys out there that he's working with, a lot of guys, and he's got something for everybody. You just got to ask him, and you got a great pitching coach.
When he and Ray work in unison, like together, they are the best pitching duo in history in terms of coaching.
But all I ever asked for was an office, a computer, and mound, and catcher.
Like any mechanic, Benedict just wants to get his tools dirty.